If you've been following my channel, then you will have definitely noticed by now that I am a fan of Eastern European post-apocalyptic video games. Moreover, my favorite book series is the universe of Metro 2033. Today I bring you something that is entirely new for my channel, namely a review of a mobile game known as Metro 2033 Wars, but for the sake of brevity, I will from now on refer to it simply as Metro Wars. It is available on iOS, Android and Windows Phone. I played it on a Motorola Moto G4, running Android 7.0. This was the free version of the game. I spent 116 in-game days on it, though I think it's fair to add around 30 days more to that, considering I was experimenting quite a bit, loading my games often to see how different scenarios would play out. I stopped playing at a point when I controlled around 15 stations, most in the eastern and central sections of the subway. The version I tried is 1.77, so please keep that in mind if you're watching this long after I uploaded it, since things are likely to have changed at least a little. To start off with, I should point out that Metro Wars is available in 4 tongues, Russian, Polish, English and Spanish. There is no point in commenting on the Russian original, as this is the native tongue of the developer, who is based in Moscow. The Polish translation on the other hand is pretty bad, and it's clear that it was not created by a real person, which sucks as there is a huge following of the Metro books and games in Poland. Fortunately, at least the English version was decent and easy to understand, with only a few errors here and there, so I switched to that. Sadly, I can't speak for the quality of the Spanish translation, as I no hablo español. In Metro Wars you are placed in the boots of Arseniy Skadov, the leader of your own mini-faction in the Moscow Metro, controlling a number of squads that can battle enemies and settle stations. Some of these units are always mobile, while others can be assigned to garrisons as defense for your camps. At captured stations you have successfully settled into, you can build structures and hire new units. Buildings can be upgraded and characters can level up. Your 2 main resources are bullets used as money and mushrooms grown for food. Overall, the gameplay is a fairly standard mixture of strategy, role-playing and loads of micromanagement. It is however a fairly addictive formula that did have me returning to it often. Without counting the player, there are a total of 21 factions in the game. There are of course the major ones like Polis, Hansa, the Red Line and the Fourth Reich, but also a number of others you may recognize from the books, such as the 1905 Confederation, the Commonwealth of VDNH, Trotskyists, cultists, as well as a rival bandit gangs known as Clubs, Hearts and Spades. You get the picture. Sadly, the diplomatics aspect of the game is very basic. All it boils down to is either bribing alliances to let you through their territory and recruit new troops there, or declaring war on them to take over. It's a poor execution of what is actually a really interesting concept that we don't get to see much of in Metro 2033 or Last Light. While the graphics are okay from a technical side, the artwork is a mixed bag to say the least. The in-game map, slides used in cutscenes and for loading screens, icons, the user interface and portraits of some of the units are really nice, neatly drawn and fit in with the style of the Metro 2033 universe. There are also some really nasty exceptions though. One of these is the medic character, who is basically an over-sexualized female nurse who wears lightly colored clothing. It is a strange design choice that breaks immersion completely. The other women seen in the game, the spy and electrician units, are also quite scantily clad. I'm sure most players would appreciate if this was patched with some more lore-friendly and less infantile artwork. The soundtrack of Metro Wars is surprisingly good. It's a mix of some catchy combat tunes and more ambient, atmospheric background music. It suits the feel of the game. Other sound effects are mostly decent. The Russian voice acting is appropriate even if sometimes slightly cheesy. For example, the electrician who uses electric attacks will often say "Это будет шок," which means "this will be a shock." But the guns sound realistic enough, the interface doesn't feature too many unnecessary noises, and so on. The difficulty curve can be really annoying. Metro Wars does a grand job of easing you into the experience with a brief yet informative and very helpful tutorial, but not long after you're left on your own, you will often find yourself outgunned. One of the first bigger tasks you'll receive is to eradicate a mutant threat from the Metro line where you start off. However, this seems to be imbalanced quite a bit, as the human leader of the mutants and his swarms of rats will likely hand your ass to you on a silver plate unless you come over-prepared with some more expensive and more experienced troops later on. There is no even climb either, as many of the missions after that are not at all at this level of difficulty. Actually, I did not even attempt the quest in question until much later when my faction had grown in power significantly. This will probably puzzle many players and may put them off from continuing the game. Fortunately, there are no restrictions on saving your progress, which is sadly something they occasionally do in free-to-play mobile games. In Metro Wars you can save as often as you want and anywhere you want. Like with many other mobile games though, the gameplay becomes quite repetitive. Fortunately, for this very reason it seems, the developer has included an option to automate fights as well as speeding up character animations, both of which are useful for routine rat swarm attacks, as these are easy to win fights but are also time consuming and boring. A major annoyance I encountered frequently was an interface bug that would not allow me to press one of the buttons, possibly because it was located too close to the buttons used for my phone's interface. It would be great to see this issue patched. Metro Wars obviously features microtransactions, as tends to be the case with free-to-play games. This is instantly a minus for me, though I will admit that they are not as intrusive or obnoxious as this stuff usually is in freemium products. Here, as expected, it takes the form of a premium currency. You can purchase these coins using real money and then spend them on things like stronger units, ammunition, mushrooms, and so on. Something I liked quite a bit is that the developer has included an option to watch short advertisements for other mobile games running on the Unity engine in exchange for bullets given to the player to use in-game. This also means that Metro Wars is completely ad-free if you choose to play it in this way, never succumbing to the idea of earning bullets for a few moments of your time. In the end, Metro Wars feels mostly like wasted potential. There's plenty that was done right here. For example, the music, the faction system, the rudimentary combat and units. The whole idea of leading your own group and helping it expand throughout the Moscow Metro sounds great, but the way it was executed here leaves much to be desired. If you're a Metro fanatic like me and would love to waste some of your spare time on a simple strategy RPG style mobile game set in Dmitry Gluchovsky's grim universe, then you may find Metro Wars enjoyable for a while too. However, if you're not a hardcore fan of the series, then it will be harder for you to find redeeming qualities in its products, as there are many other such games in the market. Thanks for watching and good hunting, Stalker.